Hello everyone, Elkjaer here. This is my submission video for ESA Winter 2020. And the category I'm going to be running is New Game Plus Ultra Hard for Horizon Zero Dawn, which is my favorite category in this game. And also the category I've spent by far the most time on, this speedrunning in general. So it's going to be a lot of fun. For people watching on YouTube, this is basically going to be a fully commentated run. So if you ever wanted a more in-depth video of how the speedrun works, this is the video for you. So anyway, let's get into it. We're gonna hit New Game Plus here and Ultra Hard. As you can see, this is the hardest difficulty in the game, and it has some unique abilities or unique differences compared to other difficulties in the game, which I'm gonna explain a little bit further into the run. So coming out of the first loading screen here, time will start as soon as we skip the first cutscene here. Now, for people that have played this game before, you will notice that in New Game Plus we start as adult Aloy. Because in New Game Plus the game basically skips the childhood section, which basically functions as a tutorial, so it's really nice for speedruns that we start here instead of having to go for the childhood every time. Anyway, let's start the run. So right off the bat here, you will notice that I am rolling. That is because rolling is the fastest form of movement in this game.
Why isn't he here?
For those wondering, I am doing short rolls instead of long rolls. There's two types of rolls you can do, and short rolls are slightly faster.
What's going on with him?
Also, rolling, for those that care about the specific stuff, rolling saves about 2 seconds for every 150 feet you travel in the game. So it adds up to quite a lot over the course of the run, if you roll. So going off here, we just talked to Rust, and now we're gonna meet him at the gate here. So in New Game Plus, normally you have to go collect some fire arrows and get a tripcaster, but since it's New Game Plus, we already have those things, so we can just go straight to Rust here and start the Sawtooth quest here. So coming up here is going to be our first fight here. You're going to see me use the ice rail here to freeze him. We're going to be fighting a Sawtooth, by the way. I'm going to be using the ice rail, which is basically a flamethrower but with ice. You could call it a ice thrower if you will. To freeze him. And then after that, I'm going to shoot a triple shot of hardpoint arrows into the Sawtooth. You're going to see me here. I'm going to get up close personal to him, start freezing him, then once he's completely frozen, I'm going to hit him straight in the eyes with a triple shot of hardpoint arrows, which just does enough damage to kill him completely. Now, the reason why I froze him there is because you actually do more damage on most enemies in this game if you freeze them completely. So freezing there just gives more of a boost to my damage, allowing me to get that one shot off. Also, you notice that I was hitting him in the eyes. That's because that's a weak spot, and if you hit weak spots, it also does quite a lot more damage. So you're gonna see me over the course of the run try my best to hit weak spots on most machines in the game, because that way we can just kill them quite a lot faster. And right now we are inside the embrace area here. We're gonna be here for like the first 3 splits. Inside the embrace area there's already some fast travel points that are unlocked, and that's why we can just fast travel from place to place here at the start. As soon as we're out of the embrace, that's gonna change, and then we have to travel a little bit more to get from A to B. So this is a quest where we basically just are setting up some of the story here. There's not really any combat or anything. So I'll use this moment to explain Ultra Hard difficulty. Because, like I said, Ultra Hard does have some uniqueness to it.
Wait, no.
So Ultra Hard difficulty, despite, other than being the hardest difficulty, it has the things that are different, which are the health bars. Enemies have no health bars, so you just kind of have to know how much damage you need to do on every enemy before they're dead. And of course, with experience, you'll just naturally get that down over time. So yeah, you don't really know how much health enemies have, but like I said, once you have done enough runs, you just kind of get that down. Another thing with Ultra Hard is enemies are a lot more aggressive, so there's less time in between their attacks. And also they spot you and start attacking you quite a lot earlier. The next thing about Ultra Hard is all your weapons are nerfed, so you do a lot less damage with your weapons than you would on other difficulties. So, but of course, since we're in New Game Plus, all our weapons are already pretty powerful because we have set them up specifically for speed in the speedrun. So you're gonna see me still deal quite a lot of damage, even though my weapons technically are nerfed. So right here, we're just gonna run up to the grazers here. We have to kill 2 grazers and loot them. These grazers always move in a specific pattern here. So we can just predict exactly where they're gonna go, and then we're gonna lock a blast bomb at them to take them down. And then we can continue on with the proving here. And the last thing with Ultra Hard that I didn't get to explain, which is the usual thing that usually throws people off when they play this game, is that on Ultra Hard difficulty there's no aim assist. So we are playing this game with a controller, but on Ultra Hard there's no aim assist, so you have to, you know, be a little bit more skilled with your aim, because the aim, or the game is not really gonna help you in that regard. So that's a thing a lot of people don't realize when they start a Ultra Hard playthrough, that aim assist is turned off and you can't turn it on. Anyway, here in the proving we're gonna have our first kind of skip here, where we're gonna go out of bounds and abuse the checkpoint system in the game here. So coming down these logs, we're gonna run off the edge here. Then I'm gonna aim my weapon when I land. That cancels the falling damage animation. Then we can get up on this arm a little early. And then we're gonna go to the left here and jump up these rocks here. On off. Okay, got it. That was a little close. Right now we are technically out of bounds here. So coming up here is a death wall. As soon as I jump over these rocks, I'm actually gonna die. But I have just enough time here to go to the left and hit the checkpoint for the proving fight here. Which, since we died, we're gonna spawn at our last checkpoint. And since the checkpoint for the fight was the last one we hit, we spawn inside the fight and ready to go.
We can't win.
So right here in the fight, we just have to kill a lot of Eclipse troops here. I usually kill them in a very specific order, because it just makes it a lot easier. And most of these are just gonna take one shot, or pretty much all of them, except for guys in the last wave. So here I'm loading in another triple shot, because there's gonna be a big guy spawning here. I'm gonna go to the left here to stand behind this rock. That's gonna trick the guy on my left here to jump down, and I want him to jump down so I can loot him once everybody is dead. So there we go. Because this quest doesn't finish until you have looted the last guy. And that ends the proving. By the way, for people wondering, when I say I'm using a triple shot, that just means I'm shooting 3 arrows at once. In the game you unlock an ability that allows you to put more arrows in per shot into your bow, up to 3 arrows, and since it's New Game Plus I already have it. So when there's a guy or a machine that has a lot of health, I load in more arrows to deal more damage. So for that big guy with the gun there, I just loaded in a triple shot and shot it at him, and that's enough to kill him. There is, however, a downside to the triple shots, which is the arrows are not as accurate. So you gotta keep that in mind, but for short distances like that, you can do it fairly easily. Make sure that all 3 arrows hit. So right here we are supposed to follow Terza here, but luckily we can just walk to her end position and wait for her.
Am I going to meet her?
We don't actually have to follow her.
Please, just follow me.
But she needs to get here so we can trigger this cutscene to start. And the same thing here is we just have to wait for Terza to get close to us here.
What happened?
After the massacre at the
So you can notice that the armor I'm wearing, the armor is called the Shield Reaver. This is this flashy armor that kind of has that, the lights that kind of flickers down Aloy. For this armor, if you pay attention to my health in the top left corner, you'll notice that it's blue and not red. That is because I have the Shield Reaver on. The Shield Reaver adds a shield on top of my health. So for anybody who has played Halo, it kind of works in a similar vein, that if your shield depletes, it takes a little bit of time and then it regenerates. And obviously we use that in Ultra Hard just because it allows us to tank a lot more damage from certain enemies that would otherwise probably kill us with some of the attacks. So the Shield Reaver basically just removes a lot of attacks from enemies that normally would be one-shots and makes them and makes us able to survive them. Right here we're just gonna do a cheeky little slide down the mountain with a roll here that just gets us down a little bit faster. And then coming up here is gonna be the demon fight, which is also known as the first Corruptor fight. Now this fight is very scripted, and we're gonna abuse that to an advantage here. So you're gonna see here after we talk to Resh here, one of the most hated characters in this game. Then we're gonna use these proximity bombs to create a minefield here in front of the gate, because a lot of Striders are gonna come running through the gate. That minefield is gonna make sure none of them go in and touch these bombs here, because the Corruptor is gonna land right in front of us, and the bombs there are not gonna be enough to kill him, but these arrows are gonna be enough. So now we just wait for him, and boom, he's dead.
It's down.
So as you can see there, we just abuse the fact that the Corruptor is heavily scripted there, so we can pretty much plan out the entire kill there and kill him as soon as he spawns in. Right here, now we're gonna leave the embrace. You're gonna notice the gate here is closed. That's because you're not allowed to leave until you have override a mount. But we have already unlocked the ability in the game to just whistle for a mount. So we can just whistle for a mount and then the gate just kind of breaks, allowing us to leave, because the game thinks we've overridden a mount. And now we're outside the embrace. Because normally you would have to go and manually override a machine, but that takes way too long. We can just whistle for one. And now we are on our way to the Elkjaer border here. So there's gonna be a little bit of a ride here. So now the game actually opens up, and we are gonna play through the main quest here. Now the main quest of Horizon Zero Dawn are kind of split into three. So the quest line kind of splits into three parts. There's the Osram storyline, the Nora storyline, and then there's the storyline where Aloy learns about the past. And of course we have to complete all those storylines in the main quest to be able to finish the game in the end. One good thing about the quest system here in the game is you can do a part of the quest and then just leave it and come back later. You don't have to do the quest all in one go like you would in, like, say, a GTA game, where if you start a mission you have to finish that mission. In this game you can just do part of it and then come back to it later. So what you're gonna see me do here is I'm gonna get off my mount and go into this investigation area, which is part of the War Chief quest here. Where I'm just gonna investigate these guys here. This is the start of the War Chief quest here, but we are actually only gonna do the very first part here of investigating the area. And then we're gonna come back to the quest later, because it's gonna be a little bit better for the route to do it later, when it lines up better with the other main quest. But we'll do the first part now, because why not? Because we're on the way anyway, or going right past it. And we'll come back to this in, I don't know, it's like 35 minutes, roughly. So now we are gonna go back to focus on crossing the Elkjaer border. The Elkjaer border is basically a fort we have to cross, but we have to clear 2 corrupted zones and the machines in front of the fort to be allowed to go into the Elkjaer territory. And technically in the game you can do whatever corrupted zone you want to do. We obviously just gonna do the 2 that's on the way to the fort. But if you wanted to, you could actually do whatever corrupted zone you wanted. Coming up here at Mother's Heart, you're gonna see me hit a bomb on my own mount.
Here she is.
And then we talk to Miriam. The reason why I hit my own mount there, in case you wonder, is because that manipulates the spawn I'm gonna get for the mount when I come out on the other side here of the village here, because you're not allowed to ride inside the settlements. So once I go across this bridge, I'm outside the settlement, then I turn the camera and whistle for my mount. I still got a bad spawn, but most of the time you get a better spawn. That's just RNG, how it works, I guess, but yeah. But the reason why you hit your own mount there is because then your mount no longer is your mount, because it becomes aggressive towards you. So that way it increases the chance of getting a better spawn once I'm outside here. Then we are gonna hit fire arrows from these guys, blaze canisters, and these guys lined up perfectly. Because if you set fire to their blaze, they're just gonna explode like that. Which is very nice. And then we're gonna do quickly set up a triple shot here and get our bombs ready for the next corrupted zone. So the corrupted zones here, they always have the same amount of enemies in them. And the first one there was just the 3 grazers. And you can see they all had their back turned towards me, so hitting the blaze canisters were fairly easy. Most of the time they are not that easy, but you can work around it. And for the second corrupted zone coming up here, we're gonna have 2 scrabbers and 3 watchers. Like I said, there's always the same amount of enemies and the same type of enemies, but their spawns are random. That's the thing we have to look out for. So I'm gonna come over the hill here, and then I'm gonna start spotting where all the machines are. So I'm gonna have a look here and see where they are. One scrabber spawned the house. I really don't like that. So I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna use a triple shot on this guy that kills him. And I'm gonna start bombing all the watchers. I missed. And whistle for my mount. So see there, the scrapper was behind the house, so I had to go around the house in order to kill him. That's a little bit of bad RNG. Preferably you want all the machines to spawn in the middle of the village, where there's clear line of sight on all the machines. So Cardboard Border does have a chunk of RNG to it that is not in your control, but what you need to do is just as soon as you get eyes on the corrupted zone, spot where all the machines are, and then work out your approach from there. And then the last fight coming up here, we're gonna have Scrabber, 2 Watcher, and a Corruptor. So you notice I'm just gonna use a triple shot on the Scrabber and then clear the Watchers up here with the bombs.
Back, girl. These machines are dangerous.
One of the arrows missed, so that wasn't a one-shot. So we're gonna do a quick cleanup here. Hit the weak spot on the Corruptor. And whistle for a mount and hit the cutscene.
Where are you headed, girl?
West to Meridian.
Oh, there we go. And you notice I'm whistling at my mount as soon as I clear up a zone there. The reason why I whistle as soon as I'm about to finish a corrupted zone or the fights there is because if Aloy starts her dialogue, you're no longer able to whistle for your mount. So you want to be whistling as soon as you can, so your mount starts coming towards you. Because if her dialogue starts, you're not able to whistle for your mount. And obviously you want your mount as close to you as possible for whenever you need to get on it. So now here, there's a little bit of section here while we're on the way to Meridian. There's always machines fighting here and a Stormbird right above us. That's the big bird up there. Now we just hope he doesn't hit us. Usually if you go at full speed here and hug the corner, he usually doesn't hit us. He's very close, but no cigar. And we should be good. And then right here, this is kind of just the first break of the run, because now we just go to Meridian. It's not really gonna be any combat in this section here. So we can just kind of relax here and take a breather after the cardio border. So I guess I could take the time here to explain the weapons I'm using. So the bow I'm using, which is the weapon I'm going to be using the absolute most in this run, is the Adept Striker Bow. Now the Adept versions of the weapons just means that I am able to put on an extra modification onto my weapons. If you look at the bottom right, you can see I have 4 purple modifications. If you don't have the Adept versions, you're only able to put 3 on them. So all my weapons are the Adept version, which gives me an extra modification slot. And yeah, the Adept Striker Bow is from the DLC, The Frozen Wilds. By the way, really good DLC, you should play it. And this bow has an ability that when you pull the bow all the way back, it doubles, or pretty much doubles the damage the bow does. So all my shots I'm gonna be taking with this bow. The bow is gonna be pulled all the way back. I have modified it so it has a lot of damage and a lot of handling. So that's why I'm able to not only reload my bow so fast with triple shots, but also pull the string back so fast. And thereby I can shoot really fast, even though I have to pull back the bow all the way. And I'm gonna be mostly using the hardpoint arrows for this bow. It also has fire arrows and regular arrows, but for damage I use the hardpoint arrows because they are just far superior to the normal arrows. You also saw the ice rail earlier, which is basically just a what's it called? The ice thrower. I use that to freeze machines. Even when you're freezing machines, it's important that you try to hit their weak points, because that actually freezes them faster compared to if you're just aiming at whatever at them. So if you pay attention during this run, you'll notice that when I'm freezing enemies, I'm actually trying my best to hit one of their weak points at the same time. Now we just go inside Meridian and we can do a little bit of an investigation here to figure out where Olden is.
Somewhere. And so's Erend, that other Outlander I talked to the night before the proving. Erend said he'd introduce me to his sister.
So yeah, also my blast bombs. You saw my blast sling, which I used to use blast bombs, and the proximity bombs from earlier. I'm only going to be using blast bombs from here on out. The proximity bombs were only used at the Corruptor fight. But the blast bombs is basically simple. It's like small grenades you shoot from a sling. And the last weapon I have on me right now is a power shot bow, which basically is a bow that can do a lot more damage than my striker bow, but it takes a lot longer to pull the string back. So I only use it for a few places, which you're gonna see in a bit. Because that bow, it takes a long time to pull the string all the way back. But it allows me to one-shot certain enemies, which just gives a lot of benefit there. Right here, we are just inside Olen's apartment, doing a little bit of an investigation, trying to get through it as fast as possible to the basement and figure out where he is.
Looks like Olen kept a journal.
Olin?
And as soon as this is done, we can be on our way to the excavation site where Olen is. Spoiler, by the way.
Olen knew I
It's
was
in the
targeted.
excavation site.
A map. The glyphs show places he visited.
And we scan this, and then we can be out of here.
There's your.
After we talk to Aaron here.
Leave it
Wait,
out.
I'm not.
The thing you will notice me do here is I'm gonna open the menu twice here. What this does is it skips an animation here on the map that when I fast travel. So normally when you open the map after you have discovered a new area, all the icons kind of slowly spawns in on the map. But since we're gonna use them to fast travel, we don't really have time to wait for it. So we can skip that animation by opening the map twice. So if you see me opening the map twice before fast travel, that's in order to skip that animation. It's not just me doing it for, you know, a mistake or something. There's actually a point to opening the map twice. Right here, I'm just gonna set up my weapons. I crafted some ammo, loaded in triple shot to both my bows, and reloaded my Azrael here. So my weapons are ready for the fight, so I don't have to do that in the middle of the fight. So you're gonna see me when I go from A to B to certain fights. I'm gonna try to set up my weapons so they're ready for the upcoming fight here.
Well, here I am.
Now coming up is the excavation site fight here. This is one of the hardest fights in the game. Because normally you could be really stealthy in this fight and really take your time and kill everybody. But we are not gonna do that. We are gonna go straight into the middle of all the enemies and just try to take them out before they take us out. So yeah. There's gonna be two machines here that are the important ones to kill. Those are the two corruptors here. They are walking in a very scripted pattern, so we are gonna abuse that here at the start. So you're gonna notice here, I'm gonna jump down here. Then I'm gonna stay behind this rock so they don't spot me too early. Then come out from my spot here and freeze the first guy. Use my power shot to one-shot him here. I'm gonna take out the guy right in front of me because he's annoying. And that's bad RNG. Okay, the corruptor. Shit. Okay, I am got really screwed here. I might die. Okay, deal with the corruptor. You saw the corruptor went to the right there instead of coming straight towards me. That's really bad. Because, yeah, that kind of threw me off. I wasn't thinking he was gonna do that. But cleared out all the enemies there. Most of the time he comes straight towards you, but when he doesn't, that's, yeah, it kind of throws the fight for a loop here. In this category we're actually gonna let Olin live, because turns out it's faster to let him live. Fun fact, we used to think it was faster to kill him, but after a little bit more testing of that, it turns out it's actually faster to let him live. If you don't like Olin, you can always run 100%, because in 100% it's faster to kill him. So moving on here to the next fight coming up. It's gonna be the ambush. Sorry, I didn't do the greatest job of explaining the fight during excavation site, but it didn't really go the way I planned, so... But still went not too shabby, I would say. So coming up here is the ambush fight. There's gonna be 3 machines here we need to kill, and then we meet up with Aaron. Aaron's spawn there is random. You can see he's walking right there. So as soon as we kill these 3 machines, we have to go to Aaron. Here's the unfortunate thing here. Aaron's spawn, he can sometimes spawn right next to these guys. That's bad. And I hit my own man. But it turns out the faster you do the excavation site, the closer Aaron is gonna be to this fight. So because we had a kind of a slow excavation site, it actually meant that he was further away from this fight. Which is of course important, because we need to talk to him after we kill those 3. Now we're gonna ride towards an excavation here, but we're supposed to follow Aaron here, so we're gonna get knocked off our mount. Because the game doesn't like if we go too far away from Aaron, so it's gonna force us off our mount. But we can jump back on the mount after the dialogue is over. And then we need to examine the blood right here. So the game tries to prevent us to get away from Aaron, but we can just jump right back on the mount. By the way, when I get knocked off the mount, it kind of looks like I'm taking damage, but I'm actually not. It's just a visual effect of it. Now we come up here to the next fight. There's gonna be a lot of human enemies here and then 2 Ravagers. And by the way, I'm gonna get knocked off here again. Because again, the game doesn't want us to get away from Aaron. But this time we can just jump back on right away. So coming up here is gonna be the human enemies here. I'm gonna look up here. This guy didn't go down the zip line. That's a bug that happens. Oh no. That is really bad. I might be screwed here. So this is a bug that only happens on ultra hard difficulty, where this guy... Okay, I got a headshot on him. where that guy starts hiding up there. He's supposed to come down the zip line, but sometimes he doesn't. As for the Ravagers here, this is gonna be exactly like the Sawtooth in the beginning. I'm gonna freeze them and then hit a triple shot in their eyes here. Where's this guy going? There he is. So freeze him and kill him like that. And craft some ammo before the cutscene starts. While we wait anyway.
There's no blood on them.
But yeah, that guy going down the zipline there, that's a bug that only happens on Ultra Hard for whatever reason.
They're shattered.
I'm assuming it's because Ultra Hard wasn't part of the game when it came out. This difficulty was actually added later.
What are those leather straps?
And that bug is just a thing that happens. I don't really know why, but the guy just doesn't come down the zipline and then he just hides up there forever and can be really hard to kill him. But I got kind of lucky there, getting a headshot.
By the tripod. I used
Look at my mount up back there, jumping up and down. And we fast travel out of here. Right here, you're gonna see me turn the camera around here. And then whistle twice. The reason why I turn my camera, usually when I whistle for my mount, is to manipulate the spawn of the mount. Because the mount will always spawn off screen. So in certain places, I'm just gonna turn the camera a specific way to kind of try to get the best spawn out of it I can. Right here's just two Ravagers staring me down, but I don't think they're gonna hit me. And we should be good. Yeah, they left us alone this time. So that means I can start loading in triple shots here to my bow. Get that ready for the upcoming fight. So yeah, obviously when you ride from A to B, you're gonna see a lot of machines along the way. You just have to try to deal with them as best as possible. Coming up here, by the way, if you pay attention to the navigation bar in the middle, top middle of the screen, you'll see a campfire. I'm gonna go close to this campfire so it turns green. That means I can fast travel to it. Because we're gonna be using that campfire later when we're gonna go to Zero Dawn. But we just activated now, so it's ready to go. In order to activate a campfire, you just have to be within 50 feet of it in order to activate it. And then you can fast travel to it later. So that's why I went a little bit to the left there, just to activate that campfire. Instead of just crossing over the desert immediately. And of course, machines here in the wild, these small machines are not really an issue, but the bigger machines... the bigger machines are a bit more of an issue because they can knock you off. So when you're trying to deal with bigger machines, especially if they spawn on the road, you just want to try to go around the back, or at least not go straight in front of their face, because otherwise they have a good shot. Can't speak. Then they have a lot easier time to just knock you off. But if you go around the back, for example, they have to turn around before they can do anything. So coming up here is Maker's End here. We're actually gonna do another skip here to get into this fight a little bit earlier. This is a little bit of a skip to get into this fight. So we're just gonna ignore these enemies because these guys don't matter. Gonna use the scenery here to jump up here. Gonna do a little bit precise jump to jump across, like that. And then we can jump into where the fight is taking place, kill this guy sitting behind this robot. Then we're gonna use the power shot to kill this guy in one shot. Use a double shot on this guy. One of the arrows missed, I think. Use the bombs on these guys. And clear off the archers here. That skip just allowed us to get into the fight earlier, and you also saw that it kind of teleported me into the starting point of the fight, and this guy is really annoying. Doing his best to get behind cover there.
Did it? What was that? Hades? Hey! I need to find a way inside.
Right here, I'm gonna not jump down the elevator until the voice starts speaking. If you jump down that elevator too fast, the game is gonna soft lock. So don't do that. And right here we are gonna use the statue to do a little bit of a skip. So we can get up to the second floor early. So that basically cuts a big chunk of the building out. Because normally you have to go around the back there to get up there. So that little skip on the statue actually saves quite a lot of time.
Looks like the way up.
Now we just have to reach the top of the tower here. Gonna try our best to climb it as fast as possible.
Across the globe, Pharaoh remains committed to making the future smarter, brighter, safer, and always surprising.
It'll be a long way up. Frozen metal most of the way.
And then when we get to the top here, we have to watch 3 holograms.
They made the focus.
Not really much we can do here while we are here, because unfortunately, unlike the cutscenes, you can't skip the holograms.
They made machines.
So this is kind of another break in the run. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to find any way to skip these holograms. But hopefully someday we'll figure out something. But yeah.
Felt the snow coming.
So right here we're gonna be forced to watch these holograms. I guess it's a nice little break in the middle of the run, but yeah. Obviously the run would just be a little bit better if there was a way to skip them. But trust me when I say this, I've tried everything I can think of to try to skip them, and so far nothing. But maybe one day somebody with a new set of eyes looking at the issue could figure something out. But yeah. Because if you found a way to be able to skip them, that could save quite a lot of time. Just going up here to the top of the tower, and then we're gonna watch some
All it
cutscenes.
takes is a few good handholds. All right, made it.
And of course here we are just gonna make sure we line up the focus here on the table, so we can scan the messages as soon as they spawn in. Right here I'm actually gonna craft ammo while the Elizabeth and Pharaoh here is talking.
It's been years.
Where's your legal team, Ted?
No need.
The reason why I'm crafting ammo while they're talking is because when you open your weapon wheel, it actually slows down the game.
Confirms this.
But if you do it while they're talking, it actually
Perhaps we could have
cuts out the time you have to wait.
Ted, you screwed something up
Because
something big, or you
the game
won't
slows
be
down if you open your weapon wheel, but if somebody is talking while you're doing it, the game can't slow down.
a glitch in the chariot line.
Your killer robots.
Peacekeepers, yes, those.
So you'll see me throughout this run. I'm gonna try my best to craft ammo
If we could,
in certain places while
responding.
Are you telling
while
me
people are talking to try to
It's worse than
work around the slowdown of opening the weapon wheel.
And I'll take that lunch. Alone.
That's the first hologram, 2 more.
Ted Faro brought Elizabeth Sobek here, but they hated each other.
This isn't a glitch. It's a catastrophe.
fully aware.
So I guess I can do this little thing out here
Less.
It's not bad.
while we wait on this hologram to finish.
Dick. You built
So
a
I'm
line
gonna do a
of
little
killer
bit of a magic
robots
trick here. Are you guys ready for it?
that consume biomass
So I'm gonna make Aloy disappear,
Emergencies.
like this.
and you made them capable of
And she's gone,
self-replication.
almost. You can see her feet.
Control.
But yeah, for some reason this pillar doesn't have any collision at all.
Chain of command, the only nation
I don't know why,
answers to
but
now is itself.
you can just kind of walk through it.
Everything else is just food.
I don't know why, but devs
It's
didn't give
replicating,
this
Ted. It will strip
thing
Earth
any
bare in
collision.
15 months.
You can just kind of walk through it like this.
Fall of civilization, we're talking
A
extinction.
nice little thing you can do while you wait up here.
So how do I stop it while it's contained?
It's not contained. It
Usually when I'm in the middle of my runs, I usually just, either talk to my chat or check a message on my phone while I'm here. This is also a good spot if you need a pee break 40 minutes into the run.
And whatever you recommend, I'll do.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Or if we were to do the 100% category, this would actually be quite a nice spot, because these holograms allow you like a bathroom break in the middle of the run for 100%, because normally 100% you're like 2 hours into the run when you get to Maker's End here, so it's a nice little break in the longer category, but obviously it would still be nice if we were able to just skip them.
Jesus, Liz. There has to be
So right here during the last hologram, we're gonna do another little trick here. So normally you're not allowed to call for a mount if you're inside a building or inside a settlement,
to find a cure.
but for some reason, a little oversight from the devs here, is being on this balcony counts as you being outside.
Now sign the proposal.
So we can whistle for a mount and he spawns right here.
Yes, you can.
So that allows us to get a mount up here.
In good conscience, sign that.
You've got a choice, Ted.
And what that does is I can place my mount right here, because as soon as the last hologram finishes here, a dialogue is gonna spawn here.
15 minutes.
And as soon as the dialogue is open, I can go over here and jump on my mount. The reason why I want to do that is because if you fast travel while you're riding your mount, the mount will carry through the fast travel. So after the fast travel, I will be on my mount already. As long as I don't fast travel to a settlement, of course. But this basically allows me to get a mount as soon as the fast travel is over, or already be on my mount.
You don't have to threaten me.
So right here we just wait for these guys to
I'll sign.
finish talking. And then we'll be on our way. Because now we're actually gonna go back to the War Chief quest, which is the one we started earlier, but we didn't finish.
Footing the bill while others get their hands dirty.
God forgive me.
Right here is the dialogue coming up with the Mr. Silence. Yeah, that's, I guess, kind of helping us getting all the secrets about what happened in the past. And as soon as this is over, I'm gonna jump on my mount. I don't have to be fully on him, I just need to be in the animation of climbing onto my mount. And then I can fast travel. And the thing you'll see here, as soon as the loading screen is over, I'll be on my mount and be able to ride immediately. Because otherwise I would have to whistle for mount and then, you know, wait for it and get on it. And yeah, you get the idea. So now back to the War Chief quest here. We are supposed to find War Chief Sona, which isn't gonna take long, and then we're gonna do a little bit of a fight with the Eclipse troops here coming up.
Maybe I can stay.
Get my bombs ready, because I need those for the fight. Gonna use a lot of bombs in this fight coming up. Right here, first we have to do a little bit of an investigation, and then we're gonna move through
This must be the
a little bit of a brave trail here.
The war. They must have taken a moment.
Yeah, I scanned the wrong thing there, or examined the wrong thing. Normally you only have to examine one thing and then you can move on.
Should try my focus.
In this situation I only need to examine the bandages that I accidentally pressed the wrong triangle prompt there.
Looks like Sona and her braves headed for that ridge.
So coming up in this upcoming fight, this is actually a really annoying fight, because it actually has a lot of RNG to it. Normally there's not a whole lot of RNG, but this fight is interesting compared to all the other fights in the game. Because this is the only fight in the game where the enemies are random. There's always the same amount of enemies, but the enemy types are different.
It's Sawtooth.
And leaders can spawn in this fight,
She could be close.
which is the annoying part here. Because the problem is, when I'm gonna be using my bombs here, is that leaders take 2 bombs to kill, and other enemies only take 1 bomb. And like I said, this is the only fight where it's random how many leaders are gonna spawn. So hopefully we'll see no leaders, but sometimes you can see like 4 leaders. And if 4 leaders spawns in, that means we have to shoot 4 extra bombs. So yeah, you can see how that becomes an issue here. Also, we're not gonna go on the rock here on the left, or the right, because that's gonna trigger a cutscene. Instead, we're just gonna immediately jump into the fight here. Right here, there's no leaders, so this is really good. I'm gonna use my bombs to clear out these enemies. Right there, I did get blinded by a watcher, because I wasn't quick enough to kill him before he did that. This guy didn't die. Use a fire arrow on that barrel across, and then switch back to my arrows and clean up the last guy there. That was actually a really clean fight. As you can see there, we just used the bombs to kind of kill a lot of enemies when they were kind of grouped together, and also most of the enemies there. Most of the enemies there, they do die to like one bomb, so the bombs are just very effective.
Safe from stray sparks and lightning.
And you also noticed there that I was crafting ammo while this guy is talking, again to avoid the slowdown effect of the opening the menu.
Supply Master Thrawn, out.
A blaze stockpile inside. I found.
Down.
There's
blood.
And there we go. That's the war chief done. This is that's the first part of 3 here of what I normally call the Nora section. So these 3 splits right here, like the War Chief, Camps, and Ring of Metal, this is what I usually doing my runs call the Nora section, because it's like 3 areas in a row where we help the Nora out here. And that, as you might have noticed there was no leaders that spawned in, which actually helped me get pretty fast fight there. In case you're wondering, the leaders are the guys that are wearing the black hoodies. And like I said, they have more health, so if any of those had spawned in, I would need to use an extra bomb. And like I said, it takes extra time to shoot an extra bomb, of course, but also it messes up the flow of the fight. So that fight has a lot of flow to it, so yeah, if no leaders spawn, it just has a pretty nice flow to it, but if multiple leaders spawn, things just doesn't line up as well as they should. Coming up here is gonna be the next quest, which is the Revenge of the Nora. Now this quest is a little bit interesting, because we're gonna do a little bit of an exploit here. Because we're actually gonna do the quest without starting the quest. Because this quest, all the objectives of the quest are already spawned in. So we're gonna do all the objectives before we start the quest. And the reason why we do this is because it just gives us a faster way to get to the camps here, instead of going to the starting point of the quest, which is a bit further away. So it saves a little bit of time. What it also does is means that the Nora tribe won't be helping us with the camps, which is very nice because they can put the enemies in random positions. So we want to avoid that. So even though they are helping, they're not really, because they just makes a lot more MG out of it. I'm gonna go a little bit to the left here, again to activate a campfire that I'm gonna be fast traveling to. And then we're gonna do the first quest here, or a camp here, where we're first gonna shoot this guy, bomb this watcher, switch to a fire arrow to hit this barrel in the background. That's good. Gonna kill 2 people. Missed the watcher there, but kill him on the second try. Whistle for a mount, and kill the last guy. And that clears the camp. I whistled for my mount there before killing the last guy, because that way my mount should catch up to me when the last guy is dead, and I can move on. That's the first of 3 camps. Next camp here, we're only gonna use arrows, because we want to be a little bit more stealthy with this camp, because the enemies here, they are really annoying here if they start to move around too much. So we're gonna try our best to be completely stealthy here in the second camp. Take care of this guy, make sure we body shot that guy. This guy needs a headshot. This guy, make sure you body shot him and not his backpack. Missed that guy, but good. Didn't get alerted. Or he didn't alert the others. Load in 2 arrows and then call for your mount. So your mount catches up with you when you're done here. I did miss an arrow on that guy, but he is... Oh. Okay, I messed up there. So what happened there was I did load in 2 arrows to kill that guy, but I accidentally fired my shot before the bow was pulled all the way back. So like I explained earlier, if your bow isn't pulled all the way back, you don't get a lot of damage out of it. So that's why he didn't die to that shot. So a little bit of a mistake there. Same thing here, gonna be stealthy on the first 3 guys, and then we're actually intentionally getting alerted by this guy to get these guys to start moving. Because then the last guy here is gonna move out of the trenches, and I missed the shot. Ah, I'm doing a bad job there. So I'm actually intentionally getting alerted on that last camp there. Because that way that last guy is gonna come running towards me instead of staying down in the trenches. Meaning that I can get a clear shot on him. And once all 3 camps are cleared, we're gonna go up here and start the next part of the quest. Which is inside the Ring of Metal here.
If I...
Sounds like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you remember, I actually haven't started this quest yet.
Go now.
But for some reason, because I cleared all the camps, the game just kind of progresses. Even though the quest is technically not active. I'm not sure why this works, but it does. I can't really explain why. So right here we have to wait for Val, so we might as well set up our weapons here for the upcoming battle. Just gonna be inside the Ring of Metal here.
You'll know soon enough.
So, coming inside the Ring of Metal here, first we're gonna run past some guys, because we don't have to kill those guys. But then inside the Ring of Metal, there's gonna be 3 waves that spawn after we blow up the blaze. So we're gonna blow up some blaze first. First we're gonna kill the bellowback that's gonna be in here, like a big machine with a big pile of blaze on his back, or canister, I guess it's called. We're gonna take care of that and then immediately set off the blaze. And then after the blaze is destroyed, there's gonna be 3 waves of enemies. And I'll try my best to explain how that fight works, but it can be a little tricky. So go up here and then skip cutscene, and then we're gonna kill this big boy. Abusing his big weak spots here to take him down pretty fast. Then as soon as he's dead, I'm just gonna switch to my power shot, go a little bit to the right here, and then I'm gonna kill or shoot the blaze. I missed the shot. And this is bad.
I need to set off that blaze before it's too late.
There we go. I missed the first shot, so, and then I got knocked over there, but you can actually shoot that blaze from pretty far away with a power shot bow there, as you could see. And then the first wave, because I got spotted down there, they are all just gonna be down here at the start. See the time? Okay. You can see I'm gonna use my bombs here to just deal with these guys. And now I'm gonna spot for where the second wave spawns. Yeah, up here. So the waves always spawns either in the back here, where I'm at right now, or in the little hut down here. You can see they're already spawning in here. And the reason why I'm using my bombs a lot here is because the bombs obviously has a blast radius when you hit the ground, meaning that I can kill more than 1 per shot. There's still a guy up here. If you don't do it fast enough, you can see the Nora just kind of blocks the enemies from coming out of the stands here, which makes it a little harder to kill because I have to be closer to get my shots off here. That should be it, I think. Yep. Kind of messed up a little bit there, but we're good. Yeah, I lost a lot of time there. That didn't go that well. Messed up my shot on the blaze there at the start, and then obviously clearing the last wave there took a lot of time. From because I didn't clear the waves fast enough, so they kind of got stuck under the stands there in the stadium. Right here, I'm gonna actually start the quest now, even though we just completed it.
That's what I did.
So you'll notice here, I started the quest, and now it's complete. Because I've already completed all the objectives, so the game just completes the quest there. And if you're wondering, why do I start the quest if you have already completed it? Well, the game has to know the game is, or the quest is completed, because otherwise the game won't progress later on, and the game would softlog when we get to the eclipse base later. So you have to complete the quest, not just the objectives of it. Now we're gonna be on our way here to the Grave Horde. Let's just make sure we get some weapons set up here. Right here, I'm gonna go a little bit off-road because it's faster to cut the corners on this road. You'll notice when I've been riding my mount from place to place here, I've been sticking to the roads. That is because the mount is... Oh my god, all these machines are in my way right now. The mount rides a lot faster if it's on-road compared to going off-road. But in certain places, like right here, it's faster to go off-road to cut the corner. But for the most part, I'm just trying to stay on the road to get maximum speed out of my mount. So even though the roads are not kind of straight lines from A to B, most of the time it is faster to stay on the road to get more speed out of the mount. So the Grave Horde here is one of the more interesting places in the run, because there's gonna be a lot of things happening back to back, and all the machines are just blocking my path right now. And I'm gonna try my best to explain it when it happens here. Once we get inside and into the fights here. So there's gonna be a lot of enemies here at the start we can just go by, because we don't have to kill them. So you're just gonna see me run by them here.
They're inside too.
The game doesn't force us to kill them at all. And let's continue down here. So the fight here in the Grave Horde, a lot of people are probably gonna remember this fight from the casual playthrough as being a pretty hard fight, and a fight that took maybe a couple of tries and a lot of time. But we're actually gonna do this fight very quickly on New Game Plus, as you're gonna see here, due to the things we can do. First off, we just have to complete these puzzles to open a door here. Because, and by the way, these puzzles, normally you have to scan the machines here next to them in order to figure out what the code is. But the code is always the same, so obviously when you have done enough speedruns, you just kind of memorize the answer. Or you could write it down on your notes. And then you can just plot it in. Fun fact here, all these enemies, they won't spot you until Aloy stops talking. That's why I can get so close to them before they even see me. And then we're gonna hug the wall here to kind of skip having to platform our way over here. And then coming up here is another hologram we are supposed to wait out. But with this hologram, it's a little special, because you're gonna see here, down this hallway, the door is locked. You can see the door is red, and it won't unlock until Silence stops talking. But picking up the power cell here makes Silence stop talking and opens the door. And coming up here is another skip here. We're gonna shoot the floor and fall down without taking any damage at all. And get close to the Deathbringer here, bait him into a stomp attack, so we can freeze him. And shoot triple shots at his big weak spot there. And he's already dead. Then clear out the human enemies here. Where's the last guy? Kobe. Nice. So like I said, a lot of things were gonna happen back to back there. And I didn't really have time to explain all of it. I did explain how we opened the door early. Oh, what am I doing? Turn on the hologram, please. But luckily we have a hologram here, or luckily, depending on who you ask. Luckily, right now we have a hologram here we have to wait for. Where I get some time to explain everything that just happened. While the hologram plays, we can go in here and collect some medicine, so we have something to heal ourselves with. You'll notice the green bar below my health. That is medicine I can use to heal myself. We're just gonna fill that up while the hologram plays. You don't have to be in the room with the hologram. It still plays, but you can actually go in here and loot while it plays. Obviously in New Game Plus, the loot isn't that important, so we just pick up the medicine. And in a sec here, I'll explain what just happened in that fight. So in this fight, you'll notice when I opened the door, as soon as the door opened, I shot out the floor that is up there. You can see the floor panel is missing, because if you destroy that floor, it falls down. And because I was on the back side of the door, opening the door starts the cutscene, but I shot the floor with a bomb before the cutscene ended. And that means that after the cutscene, I'm actually going to be standing on that floor. But since the floor is not there, I'm obviously going to fall. And when you start a fall during a cutscene, you don't take any damage from it. So thereby we can abuse that to get all the way down to the Deathbringer without taking any damage. By destroying the floor we are going to stand on during the cutscene. Right here, just crafting ammo while these guys talk.
It may be ugly, but it's something. Consider the alternative.
So that's how we get down to the Deathbringer there without taking any damage. And then of course in the fight we got all the way close to the Deathbringer. The reason why I got so close to him is because I wanted to freeze him, but I don't want him to shoot at me while I'm freezing him. So when I got really close to him, that kind of baited him into doing his stomp attack. And when he does his stomp attack, he's not going to do any other attacks. So I make him stomp while I'm freezing him, so I can freeze him without him shooting at me. And then once he's frozen, his attacks are delayed even further, where I can get 2 triple shots off on his big weak spot on his shoulder. And then the final arrow at the end is enough to kill him. Because I just do so much damage on him real quick, and then of course I just finish off the human enemies, and that's that. Another thing you might have noticed in that fight, if you go back and watch it, is that when I was fighting the Deathbringer and the humans, I was kind of moving back towards the left. That's because the door I need to go through when the fight is over is in the back to the left. So while I was fighting enemies there, I also tried to go back towards the door, so as soon as the last enemy was dead, I would be as close to the door as possible. Because as soon as the final enemy is killed, as soon as the final enemy is killed, the door is just unlocked. So you want to be as close to that door as possible when the fight is over. But there's a lot of details in that fight, even though it's, as you saw, a very quick fight. Right here we are just gonna meet up with Marat here.
All of these people are here
Because we have to visit the Sun King for the Borderlands quest. This is another quest we are just gonna start now, but we're not gonna do it until a little bit later. But we have to go to Meridian here and talk to Sun King about here. In order to start this quest. And by the way, Aaron and Avad here, they're just gonna stare blankly into the air, because you're supposed to follow Marat here, but you can just, like Terza in the beginning of the game, you can just walk up here and wait for him.
Ignore them.
And yeah, they're just gonna stare kind of creepily into the air, thinking about their life choices, while we wait for Marat to get here.
What's the Sun King like?
The most
They are kind of rude when they do this, but you know, he's a king. I guess he can do whatever he wants. And as soon as my route gets there, we can go through the dialogue, and then we leave Meridian, as that's the only thing we needed to do there. It just happens that on the way to Eclipse Base, Meridian is kind of on the way, so doing that right there after the Grave Horde is just the fastest way of doing it. But we're gonna complete the rest of that quest a little later on. Now we're gonna be on our way to the Eclipse Base. This is another little bit of a longer ride here. To the Eclipse Base, another little bit of a break, even though there are some big enemies we have to be careful with when we get to them. Gave me a chance to get a little bit of a drink. Because as you know, it's not easy to talk for 2 hours straight. You gotta drink some water, otherwise your voice is just gonna completely disappear. So right here is an area where you kind of have to watch where those two billowbacks is. There's a Ravager on my left here, but he's never gonna see you. His movement, he's always doing the same movement there, so he's kind of scripted. But the billowbacks, you just have to look and see if they spot you or not. Because if they spot you, the Ravager here is gonna spot you as well. But the billowback spotted me so late, or the Ravager also spotted me later. If the Ravager spots you early, he has a chance to hit you before you cross the bridge there. And if that happens, you have to go to the left of the bridge to kind of dodge his attack. But right there we could go across the bridge because he spotted us too late. And then we're just going to proceed the rest of the way until we get to the Eclipse Base here. Not really much to say in this little stretch here. In Eclipse Base, we are not really going to kill anybody except one guy. But there's a lot of movement that's very important here in Eclipse Base, because there's two very important skips we have to hit in order to, you know, skip stuff. As you know what a skip does. You'll see what I mean when we get to it. Now we just need to climb up here and start the quest. By the way, you wouldn't be able to climb up here if you hadn't completed the Revenge of the Nora quest, which is the quest we had to finish. Because those climbing spots wouldn't be there if you don't complete it. And that's how the game softlocks if you don't do it. So right here, a lot of machines, we just have to go by them and hope they don't hit us. I think we're good on the first two guys. The other two guys are a little bit more important because we're going to do a skip right here next to this long lake. We're going to use this branch here to jump up here, and we got it first try, that's good, without being hit. So that's the first skip, that is the easier of the two skips here in Eclipse Base. Again, just trying to avoid enemies and going in a straight line as much as possible. And then try to skip some climbing here by jumping directly to the top spot. Then I'm gonna kill this guy right here. And then we're gonna skip across the gate here by using this torch and jump across the gate. The reason why I kill that guy right there is because he shoots blast bombs. And if he shoots blast bombs while you're attempting to skip, the explosions can knock you off the gate. So that's why I kill that guy, to avoid that.
I see it.
Oh. Ow.
Kind of
I missed the scaffolding. Oops. Minor mistake there. And of course then we climb up here to the Tolnik here, and that's gonna set off the second part of this Eclipse Base here, where we have to escape while everything is firing at us.
Keep moving or you'll die.
So during this escape here, we are most likely gonna take some damage, but we're gonna use the medicine we picked up earlier to heal ourselves. Right here, we're gonna do some jumps to cut some corners, to skip most of the climbing here.
No way.
Gonna play it a little bit safe, because this is a no reset marathon-esque run. And we can jump around that climbing spot to grab this one. Obviously, the less climbing you do, the faster it is, because climbing in this game is quite slow. So the more you can avoid it, the better.
What?
Head left towards the camp.
Got it. Almost there.
The whole base is on high.
So yeah, basically just ignoring all these enemies and try to get through them without getting blocked by any of them. And then as soon as we get to the repel point here, we're good.
That's the way out.
And then fast travel as soon as the quest completed. And then we're on to Zero Dawn. So you'll notice the campfire used to fast travel there was the campfire we activated earlier when we were going to Maker's End. Now we are gonna use it here. Because this is the closest campfire we can get. Or the closest / fastest campfire we can get to Zero Dawn. And here in Zero Dawn, this is actually interesting. So, just a couple of days ago, some new skips were found here in Zero Dawn that we're gonna be doing. So, yeah, this is gonna be interesting. So, shoutouts to Wyatt Notes, a Gravity Rush speedrunner who found, he actually found a new skip inside Zero Dawn that allows us to skip an entire fight. And that skip just so happens to put the game in a weird glitchy state. And we're gonna take advantage of that, so... It's one of those scenarios where one skip was found, and it turns out it led to another skip. So, really nice. First here, we just have to go through the Sunfall here city before we can get inside Zero Dawn here. Just gonna move through the points as fast as possible here. And coming down right here, I'm just gonna jump up to this railing because that starts the cutscene a little faster than having to go around. And right here, we're gonna do a precise skip here to get down without climbing, because again, climbing is slow. Like that.
I see you've been here before.
And then we set up our weapons for Zero Dawn here, while we wait for Silence to do his little talk here.
I've shown you the way in, but this event marks a point of no return. Before you descend into the depths here, you should be fully committed, equipped, and focused.
So it's inside Zero Dawn, there's a new skip that leads to a glitch. And I'll explain it here when we get to it.
Is that clear?
First part of Zero Dawn, however, here just has a little bit of exposition we have to go through. But then after that, all these skips are gonna happen.
Welcome to Project Zero Dawn.
The Zero Dawn here, of course, is...
We found it.
I'm not gonna really go into too much about the story, I guess, in this commentary, because I haven't really done that at all throughout this run, but... at a marathon run, I would probably talk a little bit more about the story throughout the run as well, maybe. Or at least point out some smaller details.
That doesn't make sense. Life on Earth didn't cease to exist.
He said it could not be stopped.
But it was.
So the skip coming up is actually a very simple skip, just jumping up to a catwalk. But what that skip does is, since we're skipping a fight and skipping a quest objective, the quest doesn't complete because we're not completing an objective. So the quest, or the game kind of gets, I guess, confused because an objective is missing, which you're gonna see here in a sec. First coming up here is a fight here with 3 guys that have cannons, and this is always a scary fight. We want to headshot them with triple shots here to kill them as fast as possible.
Intruder!
And it's very important you kill the first guy here. Oh, Because otherwise all 3 of them are gonna be shooting at you. Oh, that's bad.
I've done this before. Just away from this.
Ah, that was bad shooting on my part. But these guys can do a lot of damage to you if you're not careful.
Another one of these.
Right here, we're just gonna jump up here. That allows us to grab the emitter through the floor, so we only have to do one of the puzzles here.
That should do the trick.
Because we only need to do the puzzle here on the right side to open the door here. And we can actually grab the stuff we need to repair the puzzle through the floor there by kind of getting us squeezed in between the floor and
Now to see what lies
the floor above. Right here, I'm gonna again kill this guy so he doesn't shoot bombs. And here's the new skip here. We're gonna go on these boxes and then jump up this pillar. I missed my footing here. Still not the greatest at this skip because it was just found a couple of days ago. Whoop. Get my footing and then jump onto the catwalk, and there we go. That skips that entire fight right there. You'll notice the top left corner where the quest is. By the way, here's another skip where we're gonna jump across the railing here. And then we're down here. That skips another room we would have to go through. But pay attention to the quest and the quest objective there, that it's not actually changing. Because we never did that objective. So the game still thinks. But the game isn't really progressing in terms of the quest here. And right here we're gonna open the door, and that finishes off Zero Dawn. As soon as we pick up the thing here on the table. And then we're gonna be in the Sun Ring where we have to fight a behemoth here. So you'll notice here the game is gonna look a little weird after we get through the cutscene here. Because we never actually completed the Zero Dawn quest here.
It doesn't.
Because like I said, we never completed that objective, so the quest didn't really progress.
I'll never beat that thing.
Right here we have to get the behemoth here to hit 2 pillars, and this is actually very precise with the new skip here. Because the behemoth acts a little bit differently than he normally would. As soon as he hits the first pillar, I immediately have to move to the second pillar here to get him in here to hit the second pillar. It's gonna come over here. There you go, and he hits the second pillar. So notice here the platform, there's actually 2 platforms in this cutscene. I don't know why this happens, but this new glitch causes a weird visual thing. Like, you can see the platform fell down, but there was still another platform that stayed on top. So the game is very confused right now. You can see the platform is still there, even though it technically just fell down. So yeah, the game is very confused right now, because we didn't complete the last quest. And now we have to kill the behemoth. So we're gonna put out our ice thrower here to freeze him. Let's hope we can freeze him fairly fast here. Ah, I got hit. There we go, he's now frozen, and we're gonna use a triple shot in his eyes. And 2 triple shots should be enough. I didn't get enough damage on the second one, so we have to do another. But he's down now. And that ends the cutscene. Or starts the cutscene here in a sec. So here comes up the important thing of this new skip, what it does after we are done talking to Silencer. So since the Zero Dawn quest never finished, the next quest called Heart of the Nora, or All Mother, as I just call it in my splits, hasn't really started yet. Which means we can actually fast travel inside the Embrace to this campfire right here. Because normally when the All Mother quest is active, you're not allowed to fast travel inside the Embrace. You have to into the Embrace from the outside. But since the quest hasn't started yet, we can fast travel inside the Embrace. And then what we do here as soon as the loading screen is over is we restart from save. And restarting from save, for some reason the game now just the game now realizes that, oh, you did complete Zero Dawn and you did complete the Sun Ring. So after restarting save here, after restarting save here, you can see the quests are now completing. Because now the game realizes that the quests are done. And that means this quest is now active. Even though we're already halfway through the Embrace here, because we just fast travel inside of it. And now we just have to go through all these enemies and go up to the Thunderjaw here on top of the mountain. Have to do a little bit better of dodging these guys. Right here is the Thunderjaw, which we are gonna kill. Wait for the cutscene to start before we can damage him. Then we're gonna get close to him here so we can freeze him. We're gonna get underneath him here, shoot him in the neck. He's moving around, that's not good. Okay, he's frozen. There we go. Shoot away the plates here so we can shoot it inside his heart. And this is really bad. I didn't get a shot off in his heart. Bad. So, normally if I get a direct shot into his heart, I can do like 3,500 damage, but I didn't get a direct shot into his heart, so I couldn't do enough damage here. So now we just have to finish him off like that. No matter what, I would have to pick up the cannon there, but...
Finish them!
There we go. But since I didn't get a direct shot in his heart, I had to do a little bit more damage there. Right here we have to talk to Val as soon as everyone is dead. So we can move inside the mountain. By the way, when I'm going down this hallway, I'm hugging the right side of the hallway because I want Resh to talk there. Because the matriarchs here that I'm talking to now, I won't be able to talk to these guys until Resh's dialogue is over.
I see you're inside.
And I hug the right side to get Resh to talk, because if you're on the left side in that corridor, Tep is gonna talk, and Tep's dialogue is a lot longer. So you hug the right side there to get the matriarchs to talk a little bit sooner.
Looks like they don't like this door very much.
Genetic identity confirmed. Entry authorized.
Of course they hated it.
Dr. Sobek.
So yeah, not the best Thunderjaw fight there, but you get the idea of how that strat works right there.
How's this place, exactly?
The dream of Apollo.
And then coming up here, we're just gonna finish through Old Mother Mountain here. Just have the cutscene, of course, where we learn that Aloy doesn't actually have a mother, as she was born by artificial birth. And now we can leave Old Mother here.
Going to be interesting.
Right here, I have to leave the mountain because you're not allowed to fast travel until you're outside of the mountain here for some reason. It's one of the unique places where you have to leave or go outside before you're allowed to fast travel. And we're gonna fast travel back to the north, because now we're gonna head to the Borderlands quest, which was the quest we started earlier when we were in Meridian to talk to Sun King about. The loading screen is over, let's whistle for a mount here. You'll notice that I'm not rolling whenever a mount is catching up to me. Because if a mount is coming from behind to catch up to me, I would rather be running so my mount catches up to me earlier. Because if I'm rolling, the mount is going to take a bit longer to catch up to me. And obviously we want to be on the mount as soon as possible. So rolling there is just not necessary. Like, you want to be moving, but you don't want to be moving so fast that the mount is gonna catch up to you later. So that's one of the places where you don't want to be rolling. craft some arrows and reload our ice rail here. Because we're gonna be using a lot of arrows and ice rail once we get to the Borderlands fight here. This is one of the quests that is part of the Oseram storyline. So I haven't really been talking much about it, but as I said earlier, the main quest is split into 3 parts. And the route pretty much just jumps from one part of the main quest to another part of the main quest all the time. We don't really finish one branch of the main quest at a time. We kind of just do whatever quest is closest to us, of course.
Murad's set to look for his agent in the town's marketplace. Pitchcliff is
So the route might be quite different to what I guess a more casual route would look like for people playing this game, or like the typical quest line somebody else would take. Now we just have to go inside Pitchcliff where we meet up with Aaron before we go to the workshop where the Borderlands fight takes place. We're gonna park a mount here because we're actually gonna do a skip to get out of the town here a little bit faster. As soon as we meet up with Aaron. Meet up with Aaron here. Then we're gonna use a little skip to get up this cliff here a little faster. Examine this guy, and now we can be on our way to the workshop here. So here is a little skip we do to get out of the city a little faster, and the reason why we parked on mount in a specific spot. Because we can just jump over the gate like that by abusing the machines there, or the hitboxes of the machines to jump over the gate and get on a mount as soon as possible. Right here you gotta be careful because there's a lot of machines here. Or a lot of big machines that can easily knock you off if you are not careful. But they didn't seem to attack us immediately. They were actually growling, all of them there. And if they're growling, I mean, it is intimidating, but luckily for us, and when we're doing a speedrun, it means they're not gonna attack until they're done growling. And by that point, we're already far away from them. So coming up here is the Borderlands fight, which has a very specific strat to it, if I can pull it off. Because we want to be very stealthy here with this fight, because we don't want all these enemies to start moving around. Firstly, because they move around to random spots, and it's hard to keep track of them. And also because the enemies here, if they start moving around, they do quite a lot of damage. Will crit, so we're gonna kill them here in a very specific order here to... Ah, that's bad. I got spotted. I didn't kill that guy fast enough. But yeah, now you can see they're starting to move around, but I managed to kill a good amount of them before they moved around. And why am I not shooting? There we go. I'm letting go of R2 right now before or letting go of L2 before I take the shot. There we go, clean those guys up. So not the worst fight ever, but preferably you want to be completely stealthy there. And the last guy is going to be here at the door. We're going to freeze him so we can shoot him in one shot. Because he has a lot of health.
We have to get through.
So freeze him and then use a triple shot on his head, and that kills him.
Just notes about crafting.
And that finishes the quest.
And a letter tucked between the pages. Well, it's echo.
Open the map twice again here. And then we fast travel. So not the worst fight there, but if you do it completely stealthy, not only is it slightly faster, but it also looks really cool when you really nail that fight perfectly. And manage to kill all the enemies without any of them being alerted. I'm gonna just take a little bit to drink here. So I can spare my voice a little bit. So coming up is Gaia Prime, which actually used to be the most boring split in the entire run. And for some people, I guess you could still say it is. But it got a lot more interesting after a new interesting skip was found inside Gaia Prime, which we're gonna see. Because normally Gaia Prime is just... It used to be just movement and then watch 2 holograms. But now we actually have a skip that speeds it up a bit. And also adds a little bit more excitement to it, because it really used to be one of the most boring splits, like right before the end of the game. So this is gonna be, once we get inside Gaia Prime, you'll see it. It's another one of those skips where we're gonna abuse the checkpoint system. But first we have to go up to the Gaia Prime itself, where we have to climb up this mountain where there's a lot of enemies. Again, we don't have to kill them, but we also have to survive them.
More corrupted.
First we are just gonna Skyrim our way up the mountain here.
So what else is new?
Because it's faster than taking the normal path, because that involves a lot of climbing. And again, like I said, climbing is very slow, so we want to avoid that. Right here we're just gonna walk through a field of quite a lot of enemies here and hope they don't do enough damage to kill us. But you can see in the bottom left I do have my potions ready in case they do land enough blows on me. Because the enemies here, the stalkers here, actually has these sniper shots. You can see them shooting at me here. And sometimes they're very accurate and they hit me quite a lot, and other times like this, they don't appear to be able to hit me at all. And it seems like it's one of those times where they just didn't bother.
Do they think they're guarding Gaia?
Sometimes you can take a lot of damage there climbing up there. And right here on the second part here, we're gonna hug the wall. Because a lot of the enemies are right now in the middle, you can hear them coming towards us. So we are just gonna abuse the environment here to climb up the mountain here, hopefully before any of the enemies starts attacking us. Because the Glinthawks can kind of dive bomb us here, which we really don't want to see. There we go. Because that can knock us off the cliffs here. Oh, one of them is coming. Oh, we made it up here before we got hit. And right here is another Stormbird. He's above us, you can't see him right now. I'm whistling for a mount here so I can ride through this passage. My mount died, so that's really bad RNG. I'm just gonna continue without a mount because at this point it doesn't matter. But normally, this is actually very unlucky. It's very rare your mount completely dies, but the Stormbird just outright hit him. So he had no chance, he just died instantly. Because normally we would be able to ride that last part there with the mount instead of having to go rolling all the way. But yeah, we got a little unlucky with the Stormbird killing him. Rest in peace, I guess. Now there's no more enemies, now it's just up to Gaia Prime here. So the first thing we're gonna do once we're inside Gaia Prime is obviously get to the first hologram as fast as possible. And then we're gonna start abusing the game's, I guess, mechanics.
This is exactly
First, we talk to Silence here.
It's
We go inside.
Genetic identity confirmed. Entry authorized. Greetings.
Mind your footing.
For now, the first objective is to get to the second hologram as fast as possible.
guess that's my way across.
And you'll see I kind of tried my best to ignore most of the path here and just take my own route by skipping a lot of the climbing you normally have to do here.
Glad that's over.
So the thing is with these holograms and why they used to be a big issue is because after each hologram you have to talk to Silence.
Must have been where
And we had ways to get to the second hologram early,
once this was all
but we didn't have a way to talk to Silence again, because you have to watch the holograms and you have to talk to Silence, but you're gonna see what the clever way we're gonna do here. Here's the cutscenes, and then the first hologram is right up here.
But the process is slow.
So remember back in Graveheart where we could just leave the room?
Engine is tiny.
We're gonna do the same thing here. So you don't have to be in the room for the hologram to play. You can just leave. So while the first hologram is playing here, we now are gonna go to the second hologram here.
Might live long enough to hear them.
So right here, it actually doesn't technically matter how fast I go. The only thing is I have to get to the second hologram before the first hologram ends. So technically I don't have to go fast, but there's a pretty hard skip we have to do to get to the second hologram. And the faster you get to that skip, the more attempts you have to do it before the, like I said, the first hologram ends. So yeah, that's why I still want to try my best to go as fast as possible. I mean, you still have a lot of time before the first hologram ends, but if you start messing up the skip, you know, then it becomes a little bit more stressful. Now we're back here at the start, and here's the skip we're gonna do. So we're gonna jump on these rocks here, and we're gonna jump onto this pillar here, turn around and jump onto these parts there, and jump onto this plate, and we're gonna make sure we're on the very edge of this plate, so we can get a running jump up here, which then allows us to jump across and grab these climbing spots that's normally out of reach from below, because you're not supposed to go to the second hologram, at least not this way. So I actually got the skip first try there, so that was very nice. So yeah, I'm gonna make it here to the second hologram, no problem. Right up here is the second hologram inside this room here. What I'm gonna do now is activate the second hologram,
the air rushed in from this side.
Because there was
and then I'm gonna leave the room. I don't actually have to leave the room, but I like to do it personally, and just go down here and wait, so I can't hear the second hologram, because now I'm gonna wait for the first hologram to finish. And I will know the first hologram has finished when the quest objective in the top left corner changes. And as soon as that happens, I'm gonna restart from checkpoint. Because as soon as the first hologram finishes, my checkpoint is gonna be set to where the first hologram is. And then I can talk to Silence. You're gonna see here when the hologram finishes, I restart from save, and then I'm gonna spawn right next to Silence at the first hologram. Now we're just waiting. Obviously, the faster you get to the second hologram, the longer you have to wait here. There we go. Then we restart from save, and that's gonna place us next to Silence so we can talk to him. And after we talk to Silence, because the second hologram is active, the game sets the checkpoint to the second hologram. So we talk to him here.
That's she does.
As soon as we have done that,
what?
the game now has our checkpoint back at the second hologram, so we can restart from save. And that places us back at the second hologram. And then then it's back to normal. So what this skip does, it saves having to go from the first hologram to the second hologram after you watch the first one. Because we go to the second hologram while we are watching the first one.
Alpha personnel.
So it's basically just a way to abuse the checkpoint system here. And skip a lot of movement throughout Gaia Prime here. And right here we still have to watch this hologram, so yeah, just kinda have to wait for this one.
Please. Stop trying to access this.
Right here we just set up our weapons so they're ready for the
See what this
end
is
of the
about.
game here. Because there's only 2 quests left after we are done here.
I said stop trying to access the goddamn system. What I'm trying to say is I can't stop thinking about the ones who come after us. Those innocents. Those blameless men and women. We're gonna give
So yeah, this is usually the little break you have before the end game starts. And even though I would like to skip the holograms, this hologram is actually kind of nice because
It's not a gift, it's a disease.
if you're on really good pace in this category, and you know, or in any category, I guess, this is like a nice little break where you can kind of, you know, gather your thoughts before the end game starts.
Need to be like this.
It already is, Serena.
Where you can kind of, you know, bring the nerves down a little bit while you have this little break, if you're on a, like a good PB run. So these holograms, even though it would be nice to skip them, it's also nice to have a little break in the run to kind of, you know, settle down and start focusing on what's up, coming up.
Protect innocents. Innocents have to die.
Emergency alert. Planting atmosphere.
And now the hologram is done, then Silent's gonna spawn, and then we have to talk to him again. You can see he spawns.
Like,
Not a
And then of course we pick up the master override, and then we can go back to the workshop to finish off the quest. Master override, of course, we're gonna use to purge Hades, the last quest. I guess that's another spoiler alert. We actually kill Hades in the end. What a surprise.
doesn't override gravity.
The world doesn't end. Unless, of course, I die to Hades, but... it should be good, hopefully. Would be a little embarrassing if I did die to Hades now. But we'll worry about that when we get there. Alright, here we just have to talk to Silence again. He does a lot of confessions here, and yada yada yada, but I'm gonna move on.
so
I'm taking
oh.
And we pick up the spear and fast travel back to the Meridian where the last part of the game takes place. Now there's 2 quests left. The last one here is the one that's called Dervil in my split. So Dervil's gonna attack the city here. Where we first have to go to his warehouse and prevent an explosion from happening. And then after that, we're gonna fight Dervil himself. This, of course, finishes off the quest line of the Oseram main quest line. And after that, because that's the last of the branching main quest, that's gonna allow us to start the very last quest of the game, which which is also the longest quest in the game, which is split into like 3 parts. So first we have to go to the palace here to start the quest. Then we'll go to the warehouse after.
I've sent a messenger to the claim to...
I'm glad
She wouldn't tell him...
So we're gonna go through the dialogue here, and then we are gonna switch out our weapons here in our menu here.
Is it fine? We will.
So even though this is a New Game Plus run, there still is a little bit of menuing, because we have to switch out our power shot bow for a second striker bow. But the difference is our second striker bow has some different modifications on it. And the modifications on my second striker bow has more fire ability, so... which is going to be very useful against some Glinthawks we're going to be fighting here. So now we just fast roll to the middle of the city, because that's a little faster than walking. To the warehouse, because obviously the warehouse had to be on the complete opposite side of the city. Because that's how things usually are. Coming up here is, hopefully, we are going to get a blaze skip here.
Is it a bomb? Doesn't look
So
too big.
pay attention to where it says triangle, not now.
Alright. I'll shut up.
And I got the first part.
Not very strong.
I missed the second part. But blaze skip here is basically what would have happened is I wouldn't have to wait for Aaron here to do his dialogue.
That's a lot of blaze.
Normally we could, if I got blaze skip, I would be able to skip this dialogue right here.
Smoke will
But you would see
darken
where it says not right now. That one, the triangle prompt there was active for like 1 or 2 frames where you could press triangle. And if you timed it correctly, you would be able to press both of those triangle prompts and thereby skipping that dialogue completely. But as I said, it's 2 frame perfect prompts you have to hit back to back. And yeah, it's very hard to time because there's not really any, especially the second one, there's no sound cue or visual cue for when you have to press. Plus, you're gonna have to moving to the correct spot while you do it, so it's pretty hard to get. You could consider it RNG because it's so hard, or you could consider it very hard and still taking skill, but to each their own, I guess, but it's not something you get a lot of the time because of the nature of it. It's pretty hard to just get. Now we are going back into the palace where we're gonna have a fight with Dervil here. Dervil is very easy to kill. We're just gonna one-shot him with a triple shot and then kill his 2 goons. The important part of this fight is killing his Glinthawks after we take care of Dervil. So destroy that and into the fight here. So Dervil goes down in 1 shot because that's how much of a man he is. Then we have to kill his goons again, 1 shot if I were to hit my shots and not be a stormtrooper. And last guy. Oh, I thought I could predict him coming around the corner. I tried. And now the Glinthawks. We're gonna use the fire arrows here to set them on fire. And what that does is when they're set on fire, they're gonna fall to the ground. Like this. And then we're gonna use bombs. 2 bombs to take them out. So that's the first 2 Glinthawks, then 4 more are gonna be coming flying in here from the city. Let's see if we can set them on fire. And you want to be shooting them with fire while they are flying around. Because if you hit them with fire while they are already on the ground, they are not gonna get stunned by the fire. You can see there I tried to hit this guy. I'm just gonna use normal arrows on this guy because he didn't set on fire correctly. But the last guy we can do properly with bombs. I also want to try my best to move up the staircase here because as soon as the Glinthawks are dead, I need to talk to Dervil. So the closer you can be to Dervil in that fight when the last Glinthawk dies, the better. So while fighting the Glinthawks, you also want to try to move closer to Dervil while you are fighting them. That finishes off this quest, and this quest has the nice ability that when you finish it, and it's the last one of the before the last quest, it starts the last quest instantly once you have completed it. So this final dialogue goes straight from the Dervil quest into the last quest, and kind of linking those 2 together. Now we're on the final quest of the game.
Quietly does it.
Right here, let's just set up our weapons while Marat talks.
And do keep me appraised of each new arrival. Ah, but so other.
Right there. And then we are gonna move into Olin's apartment because we're gonna go to sleep to start the last quest here. Or that actually starts the last quest, but all the others, you can see there's a lot of optional stuff you could do right here if you wanted to. But we're not gonna do that because that takes too much time. Basically all the optional stuff there is you could go talk to a lot of the characters you met throughout the game that are gonna be helping you in the final fight here. But we are just gonna go straight to the last fight here. And by the way, this cutscene right here is unskippable because the game is kind of loading. The game is loading during this cutscene, so that's why the game won't allow us to skip it.
Campfires, perhaps? Massing forces for the long march to the city gates?
That's not good smoke.
So the last quest here has 3 parts to it. First we're gonna fight Helis, then Ridge Defense, and then Hades himself.
Or how it begins anyway.
Helis here, the first fight coming up. It's a very fast fight, so let me try and explain it here during this cutscene. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go straight to Helis, because we only have to kill Helis, we don't have to kill any of his men that are next to him. we're gonna go straight for Helios and try to freeze him so we can do more damage. And then hit 2 triple shot headshots on him. And we want to do this really fast, because Helios is very good at blocking arrows. So we want to get both of the headshots off of him while he's still stunned from the freeze. And the important thing is also to watch your health in this fight, because all his goons that are going to be next to you, all the goons that are next to you can do quite a lot of damage, will break if you're not careful. So you have to watch your health and try to do your best to get the headshot off on Helios as fast as you can, in order to make sure you hit them while he's stunned.
Helios! No!
So you're gonna see that right here.
Send reinforcements.
Aloy, no!
We need those guns!
He will cut you down!
Not this time!
Right here, gonna go straight up the stairs here, ignore all these guys. And freeze Helios here, and be careful with our health, he's moving around, that's annoying. Now he's frozen, then go for the headshots. Missed the second headshot, that's bad. You can see his head is moving quite a lot, but I still got it off. And then straight into Ridge Defense here, because when you freeze him, his head is shaking back and forth, so that makes the headshots a little bit harder as well. Now Ridge Defense here is probably the longest combat sequence in the entire game. And it's also pretty hard, because we're going to be using this Osram cannon to deal with all the enemies here. So there's going to be a lot of Deathbringers here, and a lot of smaller machines. So right here we're just going to shoot at this Deathbringer. Right now he's not going to shoot at us, because he's scripted to shoot at something else. As soon as Aloy starts talking, that's when he starts to shoot at me. So I'm just going to keep firing at him here and dodge his shots until he's dead. You can see I'm walking behind cover every time I'm loading up the shot. There we go, he's dead. Now let's try and kill the smaller machines. That is the Scrapper gone, and then we're going to deal with this Ravager here, walking slowly towards us. And he's not dead yet. There we go, as soon as he dies, a Deathbringer spawns over here. By the way, also, I'm kind of aiming at specific spots in the background to kind of know where I'm gonna be shooting the Deathbringer spawn. I'm gonna continue to shoot at this Deathbringer until Aloy or one of the Osram starts talking here. Because again, when they start talking, that means the Deathbringer is starting to shoot at me. So there, Aloy starts talking, so I'm gonna switch my focus to the smaller machines. While, because also when Aloy starts talking, the smaller machines have kind of gotten close, as you can see. And I want to take out the smaller machines as well before they get too close to the other guys that are helping me in this fight. Because if the smaller machines get to the other guys in this fight, those guys will not be shooting at the Deathbringers. So I need to take out all the small machines before they start fighting with the Osram that is also shooting these cannons. So here, make sure we take them out before they get too close. There we go, that's the first fight, first part of the fight done. So right here I'm just gonna set up my weapons for the Hades fight while we wait for the second wave to spawn. I'm trying to pick up my cannon here. There we go, I'm kind of stuck in some debris. So right here I'm just gonna shoot a shot right here at this spot. That's gonna clear out some trees that would block my shots. And then we're gonna start shooting at the Deathbringer that just spawned in. If I had picked up my cannon there a little bit faster, I could have taken out some more trees before the Deathbringer spawned. Because we don't want to be hitting the trees, we want to hit the Deathbringer. So I'm gonna shoot 4 times at the Deathbringer here. After that, the other machines here are close enough so I can start shooting them. And then we're gonna start having to dodge here while we shoot at the billowback. That was a terrible shot. There we go, Deathbringers. And then we focus on the Deathbringer now that all the other machines are gone. We want to take out the other machines first, because some Glinthawks are gonna spawn in here. And the Glinthawks are not gonna spawn until the smaller machines are dead. The Deathbringer doesn't matter. So if you just kill the small machines, then the Glinthawks are gonna spawn. And then after the smaller machines are done, then we want to focus on the Deathbringer to make sure he's not alive when I'm fighting these Glinthawks. And then once the Glinthawks are done, we can start shooting over here, because then the last Deathbringer is gonna spawn right here. And then I'm gonna keep firing at this guy like 5 times. Because after I've shot 5 times, the other machines are close enough so I can start dealing with them. And we're gonna do it one more time. There we go, and now the other guys, as you can see, they're just close enough. This is not good. That guy, and this guy is coming straight towards me, so we're gonna be careful. Gotta make sure we pay attention to our health here. I think that's everybody dead. Once all is dead, the Stormbird is gonna spawn in the back. As you can see, he's gonna come flying in. This is the most annoying guy here, because the Deathbringer is gonna be shooting at us, while the Stormbird is also shooting at us. And the Stormbird is obviously flying around, so he's a pretty hard target to hit. And also these shock balls, or whatever, shock, whatever he's shooting at us, can make us drop our cannon here, so like that. And the cannon landed inside the shock, so I have to change platform to get a new one. Because I cannot pick it up if it lands inside the shock. Or the electricity or whatever. And he's being really annoying here. He's flying straight up into the air, so I have to change platform, otherwise I die. Why is he so high up? I can't hit him. This is a bit unusual angle. He's dead. And then we finish off the Deathbringer. There we go. Everybody's dead. Yeah, that was not the best section there. You can see the Stormbird can really ruin that section. Usually it doesn't matter how well you do the rest of the section, because the Stormbird can just be such a pain and completely ruin your your time there. The Stormbird there in the Ridge Defense section is usually like the biggest hurdle for a good run. Because yeah, he can just be such a troll with the electricity and him moving around so much that you can't see him. And also the worst possible thing happened there, because he flew up into the air to do his kind of dive bomb attack. And when he's high up in the air, you obviously can't shoot him, so... And you're forced to change platform, because the dive bomb attack will one-shot kill you. So you have to move.
Aloy! By all mother, you survived. I thought you were killed.
So yeah, if you see him start doing that dive bomb attack, it's just... That's just a pain, because it loses so much time, and you also get a little bit nervous, because if he lands the dive bomb attack on you, you're just dead. And if you die to the Stormbird, that loses you roughly 3 minutes, because you have to do the entire second half of Ridge Defense again. So you don't want to be doing that. Now, the final step until we get to Hades here. Right here, the elevators there are falling down, so we can't move until this little animation is over. And I have to wait for this. Right here, gonna be careful with the long leg, make sure he doesn't hit us. And a little bit nice RNG from that guy. Sometimes he can do a stomp attack and that knocks you off your feet. And we're gonna swim across here and then whistle for a mount here. As soon as we are about to hit the shore, we whistle for a mount. Mount will catch up to us as soon as we get on land, so we can ride a little faster to the fight. Then the important thing here is making sure your weapons are ready. Obviously we set them up before the second wave enriched events. Also the quick menu on the bottom left, we have the big potions ready, because we're just gonna use all our potions so we can just tank all the damage from Hades. The Deathbringer here at Hades at the end. Because we don't want to be dodging it, or we will try to dodge, but no matter what, we're gonna take a lot of damage here, so... but we're just gonna tank it using all our health potions here. Gonna do a little skip here to skip the climbing.
Keep pushing.
Instead of having to climb around them.
Easy.
And get our ice rail ready, because we're gonna be freezing Hades. Or the Deathbringer. At Hades. Same thing really, because Hades controls it.
Not a... We're right.
I should start up.
And then time is coming up as pretty much just after I kill the Deathbringer, because as soon as I hit triangle to purge Hades, time is ending. So you're gonna see me do the same thing that I did at Gravehorde here. I'm gonna get very close to get him to do his stomp attack. And I didn't dodge it correctly, so I didn't get anything out of it. So that's really bad. Gonna do a little bait him into a stomp attack again. Now he's completely frozen. Now I'm just gonna shoot triple shot as his shoulder cannons here, because that's the easiest target to hit. I'm gonna try my best to walk side to side to avoid the missiles. Doing a pretty good job of it. And that's it. That was a really good fight. Except for him doing the stomp attack on me. And that's time. Nice. That was a really good fight with Hades there, actually. If he hadn't stumped attacked me, that would have been really good, because I didn't get hit by a single missile. But a 159.49, that's pretty solid. For, I guess, a marathon run. Anything sub 2 I would probably be happy with in a marathon. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. This was a commentator run, like I said, my ESA submission. For ESA Winter 2020. And hopefully I'm going to be doing this run at ESA, because there's just a lot of new cool things in the run and all that. That would be so awesome to show off. And also this run is just really fun to do. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And to anybody watching YouTube, hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm gonna let the final cutscene play out here. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the commentary.
Okay, Gaia. Sorry about that. Where was I?
You were telling a story.
Right. Yeah, so, like I was saying, it was a children's electronics kit, but I hacked the wiring to an auto battery and solar PV. So the grass caught fire. And, so did a tall pine that had stood there, I don't know, maybe 100 years.
Query. You were how old?
6. My mother was home, thank God, so she called the fire department, and after, she took me out to the lawn and showed me the dead baby birds, because there were nests in the pine tree.
Query. What did you feel?
I'm not sure. I remember yelling that I didn't care, and that's when my mother took my face in her hands and spoke.
Query. What did she say?
She said I had to care. She said, Elizabeth, being smart will count for nothing if you don't make the world better. You have to use your smarts to count for something. To serve life, not death.
You often tell stories of your mother, but you are childless.
I never had. Guess it was for the best.
If you had had a child, Elizabeth, what would you have wished for him or her?
I guess I would have wanted her to be curious. And willful, unstoppable, even. But with enough compassion to heal the world. Just a little bit. Anyway, that's all I've got for now, Gaia. Time to tuck in.
I wish you a pleasant sleep, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I'll catch you tomorrow.